Hey there, I've got a quiz for you. What's the best type of wood to burn in your fireplace? How big is a cord of wood? What do you do if you and your landscaper disagree on a contract you signed? Stay tuned for the next episode of Consumer Compass. We'll answer these questions and lots more. Hello, I'm Eric Friedman, the Director of Montgomery County's Office of Consumer Protection. Our mission at OCP is to ensure integrity in the marketplace. We do that by enforcing consumer protection laws and educating consumers. In today's show, we'll head over to a typical suburban home to tackle questions about landscaping contracts. Have you ever been burned? And speaking of burned, we'll learn the ins and outs about buying fireplace wood. We'll also explain the rules about burning wood in the backyard, as well as information regarding chimney services. Then it's back to the office to speak with one of our investigators who oversees domestic worker contracts. The kids are back in school, and that means negotiating contracts with housekeepers and in-home child care providers. We want to make sure both employees and employers discuss all the important issues. We'll end the show with a special segment from the United States Postal Inspection Service regarding mail and phone scams. So buckle your seatbelts. We've got places to go and people to meet. Well, here we are at a single-family home. Actually, it's my brother-in-law's house. He let me borrow it to discuss some of the questions a homeowner might have about landscaping contracting. Let's go meet John Lewis, one of our investigators. Thanks for coming out. Good to see you. Check out the landscaping we got here. We've, the kinds of stuff we typically see, I guess, at a consumer's home.
Yeah, this is the usual thing we see.
So I guess you've been a consumer protection investigator for many years. You've probably seen all the kinds of problems.
Yeah, I've seen just about every one, but there's always a new one that I haven't seen.
Yeah. Now, what typically would be a complaint you would get from a consumer?
The main type of complaints I get are billing type disputes or factual disputes, like was the work done? Somebody says it was, somebody says it wasn't. That's harder to resolve. The billing disputes, they usually show up after the first of the year when the landscapers are collecting all their money from, I guess, the rest of the year while they're working. People who didn't pay the bill, they get a lawsuit going. The consumer soon finds out about us. They file a complaint. Then I start looking into the facts of the case. And a lot of times what I find is a bill has interest charge and late fee that's all been accumulating for a few months. And look at the contract, and there's no mention of any late fees or any interest. Even if there was a contract. If there wasn't, it's even more of an open or shut issue. Obviously, there's a problem. It wasn't represented. You can't really do it. Most landscapers will realize they made a mistake. They'll roll that part of the complaint back, reduce the bill, and we can resolve the complaint. Then there's a more serious type of complaint that I get, and that's where the whole down payment or half the money becomes the issue because it's gone, and I can't find the landscaper. He took a big deposit, like, a few $1,000s to do, I don't know, like retaining walls, a bunch of work, and no material was ever delivered. Every excuse existed, and then I can't find them. And then we look into the issue of did they have a home improvement license? That is required for a contract or a landscaper to have, and we can actually eventually do a criminal charge if we can't resolve the complaint. So a lot of times we'll have a landscaper come in, sign some kind of settlement agreement with us, give the money back, and agree not to do any more landscaping without a home improvement license or else type thing, if they cooperate. And that's kind of rare. Usually we do the criminal charges.
Now, let's say you were a consumer and lived here and were thinking about hiring a landscaper for the first time.
Right.
What kinds of things should you do? How should you select a merchant?
Yeah, I mean, this yard here looks fairly nice to me, so it wouldn't be much other than maybe fertilizing and mowing, and just about anybody can do that. Now, if you're hiring somebody to do like pest control, then you have to have a pesticide application license from the state. But just mowing and raking the grass, like in the fall, I mean raking the leaves, excuse me, that is not landscaping or home improvement. It doesn't require any license at all.
Right. And if someone has a problem, I guess they can file a complaint?
Oh, they find out about our office one way or the other, because I keep getting the complaints. So it's an unending stream of them. But saying that, most of the landscapers in this county are honest, upright, and we don't get complaints on them.
Okay, well, thanks, John.
Sure.
That's great information for
All
consumers. And now let's find Ralph Vines, who's going to give us some information about how to buy a cord of firewood without getting ripped off. I think I see him now. Hey, Ralph.
Hi, Eric.
How you doing? Thanks for coming out.
You're welcome.
I know you supervise some of our investigators, and I see we have some firewood at this house. What
Yes.
do they mean by this buying a cord of firewood? What does that mean?
Well, a cord of wood is defined as the amount of wood that could fit in a space that measures 128 cubic feet, or basically 4 feet by 4 feet by 8 feet. And that's a cord under Maryland law. Now, under Maryland law, they cannot sell wood other than by the cord or some fraction of a cord. So sometimes you hear them use lingo that they shouldn't be using, like a face cord or other terms. It has to be in a cord, half, a quarter, or a third.
Great. Now, is there good wood and bad wood?
Yes, there is, depending on what you're intending to do. If you want to have a nice glowing fire, use the hardwoods, ash, birch, hickory, oak. All those wood will burn longer, as opposed to bad wood would be probably wet wood, green wood. So if you're buying something that doesn't appear to be cured or properly dried, then that kind of wood can lead to other problems like smoke in the house. And then those woods also could cause other problems that you may not want.
Now, when you buy firewood and they deliver it, does it cost more to have them pile it up neatly?
Everything costs more. If you want the wood to be stacked nice and neatly in a special area, they will probably charge you more, just like the types of wood. They will charge more for hardwoods than they will for softwoods.
Well, now that we know a lot about wood, I guess if we burn it inside in a fireplace, do we have to worry about a chimney? Should we get it inspected first or something?
Most definitely. If you're burning wood during the winter for more than 3 or 4 days during the week, we recommend that you have your chimney inspected and cleaned probably yearly. That also depends on the type of wood you're using. Wet wood, soft woods will cause more creosote, and thereby you have more contaminants in your flue. You do want to clean it and make sure that they're properly cleaned. We recommend that if you're going to have the chimney sweep and it's the first time you're using them, that you engage someone that you can be home watching them do the work. The complaints we often receive are that there was dirt left or that consumers aren't sure if they properly clean the system.
Well, I remember watching Mary Poppins and they had the chimney sweeps in there. How do you know they're really doing the work?
Well, again, if you're not home to watch, you should do a few things. You can check them out. We recommend you try to get one that is certified. And you can also go on the web and check other national sites and see if they're a member of a national organization. For example, the National Institute of Chimney Sweeps. Again, you can ask for their credentials, and we do recommend you check them out. Ask for referrals.
Now, Ralph, if a consumer has a problem buying firewood or chimney cleaning, what can they do?
Well, they can contact the Office of Consumer Protection. We'll take the complaint. If we think the complaint should be referred to one of the state agencies, we can also do that. But we would like to see the complaint because we keep a record, disclosure, as to how merchants resolve disputes in Montgomery County.
So you're there to help consumers?
Yes, we are.
Thanks, Ralph.
You're welcome, Eric.
If you need more information about this or other consumer protection matters, contact us on our new consumer webpage, montgomerycountymd.gov/consumer. Ralph or John or other investigators can help you with any questions or problems. Since we're talking about burning wood, let's go over the rules about burning it outside. These fire bowls have become very popular. So what are the rules? To begin, use the fire bowl according to the manufacturer's instructions. Then be sure to follow the rules listed in the Montgomery County Code. Not doing so can result in a $500 citation or, obviously, much worse, a dangerous fire. The code requires that recreational fires must be kept at least 30 feet from a building or structure. Recreational fires include the typical backyard ones, those in a fire bowl, in a fire pit, or in a chimenea. Again, keep them 30 feet from the house. You also need to be 30 feet from sheds, gazebos, garages, or your neighbor's house. Any structure, really. And make sure flammables such as gasoline canisters or even mulch piles are not close by. Placing the fire bowl on a wood or composite deck is also against the law. Regarding the environmental impact of a backyard fire, no burning on a code red air quality day. Burn only clean, dry aged wood, not construction lumber, household waste, nor leaves or brush that have been chemically treated. And fires should not be lit if the wind gusts are more than 12 miles per hour. The smoke from the fire cannot cross property lines either. In other words, you don't want to smoke out your neighbor. Remember too, there should always be an adult present to control the recreational fire, along with water or fire extinguisher to put the flames out. And finally, if you live in an apartment, condo, or townhouse, obviously using a fire bowl in a backyard deck is a recipe for disaster. Grilling on a terrace or deck is also not permitted. However, most multifamily dwellings have grills on the property for your use. If you're looking for that campfire experience but can't have one at your home, consider reserving a campground in a local park. There you can get back to nature and enjoy the campfire without the worry. Okay, so we're going to take a little break, but when we come back, we'll learn about domestic worker contracts. See you in a minute.
Thanks. You believe this guy?
Are you trying to start a wildfire?
Sorry. Pass the honey?
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Mud, sir.
Some kids think crossing the street is like playing a video game. They take chances.
Forget the crosswalk over here. Oh, well, start over.
In real life, you score points by using crosswalks, looking both ways and being careful. There's no restart button on the road when it's game over. You don't get to play again.
Para algunos muchachos, el ir y venir de la escuela lo toman como si fuera un juego de video. Esos muchachos corren riesgos.
Oh, well, start over.
En la vida real, se obtienen puntos usando los cruces para peatones, mirando en ambas direcciones y teniendo cuidado. No hay botón de reinicio en la calle cuando el juego termina. No puedes jugar de nuevo.
Welcome back. With school back in session and work in full swing, many families are hiring domestic workers, and many domestic workers are hoping to find fair employers who provide clear work guidelines. Effective January 2009, the Domestic Workers Law was passed, and our office is charged with enforcing it. Here's Lorena Bailey to explain.
The law is intended to promote open contract negotiations between an employer and employee. And what that does is it helps both parties know what their rights and responsibilities are. So in the long run, it protects both parties. The bill was a result of a 3-year campaign by domestic workers and advocacy groups. The primary sponsors were Council members George Leventhal and Mark Elrich, and it was signed into law by our County Executive Ike Leggett. Our council members and County Executive worked hard in drafting this legislation, and our office, the Office of Consumer Protection, was chosen as the department to enforce it. The domestic workers law covers workers who work primarily in Montgomery County. that work at least 20 hours for at least a 30-day period. The workers perform primarily child care, housekeeping, elder care type work. It could be an individual working as a companion for a sick or elderly person, and they can work for either an individual or an employment agency. Typically, an employer will go on our website. We have a model contract available online that they can download. It's available in English, French, and Spanish. If an employer has any questions, they can certainly call our office or come in and ask for assistance. And the employer and employee will enter into negotiations as to what contract terms work best for them. Our contract has many provisions in it, but the employer will select the ones that fit their situation. So we fully expect every employer to personalize the contract. They're not required to use ours. The legislation mandated that we make available a model contract so that people know or have one available that they can use. But they can certainly draft their own. Our office provides the contract. We cannot enforce the contract terms. So for example, if a contract term provides that an employee is to receive 7 days of paid vacation and the employee fails to be paid for that, our office cannot intercede. I would recommend that the parties consider mediation. There's a Montgomery County Conflict Resolution Center that would be an ideal forum for that type of dispute. In the alternative, they would have to contact an attorney. To discuss the contract requirements or file a complaint with our office, I would encourage you to call us at 240-777-3636. You can email us at consumerprotection@montgomerycountymd.gov, or I invite you to stop by at our office at 100 Maryland Avenue in Rockville, Suite 330. Si necesitan ayuda en español, estamos disponibles a ayudarles también.
Our last segment puts the spotlight on fraud schemes. When consumers call our office on this issue, we have to refer them to the federal government, and specifically the United States Postal Inspection Service. The investigators there handle mail fraud, internet scams, and illegal work-at-home schemes. Stay tuned for a short movie produced by our colleagues at the Postal Service. In the meantime, thanks for watching our show. See you next time.